Zika virus in the Americas. Yet another Arbovirus threat.
Thousands of infants in Brazil are being diagnosed with a devastating birth defect, and medical researchers believe it might be linked to a mosquito-borne virus. So what is this mysterious virus, and how do we stop it? Hi guys, Julia here from D News. Zika, a strange mosquito-borne virus, is sweeping through many Central and South American countries. Current estimates place the number of Zika cases over 1 million in Brazil alone. And in response to the outbreak, the CDC has implemented 2 new travel bans to an already large list for pregnant women, one on the United States Virgin Islands and the other on the Dominican Republic. The ban is for pregnant women specifically because since the epidemic started, the incidences of microcephaly, a devastating birth defect, have skyrocketed. Microcephaly is a condition where a baby is born with a small head. Because the head is so small in those born with the condition, the brain is small too, meaning it's underdeveloped, which can cause a whole range of other health issues, like cognitive deficits, seizures, feeding problems, vision problems, and hearing loss. Unfortunately, there's no cure for the condition, only treatments for its effects. Microcephaly is typically seen in rates of about 2 in 10,000 births, according to a study published in the journal Birth Defects Research. But nearly 4,000 cases have been reported in Brazil since October. That's nearly 26 times the normal rate. And researchers strongly suspect that the birth defect is linked to the Zika virus. Now, this epidemic seemed to have come out of nowhere. The mosquito that carries the virus was pretty much eradicated in Brazil in the 1950s. But as the decades wore on, it made its way back. Then, last year, reports of Zika in Brazil started popping up. It wasn't taken too seriously since its symptoms in adults are mild, just things like a fever or a rash. It wasn't until the rate of microcephaly shot up that the world started to take notice. Now, the battle against Zika is underway, and one that Brazil is badly losing, according to the health minister. And it is literally a battle. 220,000 members of the armed forces are going door to door to help in the current mosquito eradication efforts. But it's not just Brazil. Zika has been reported in 24 regions around the world, mostly in tropical areas. Each country is issuing warnings. Some seem extreme. For instance, the government of El Salvador told women to avoid pregnancy for 2 years. As for the Zika virus itself, there's no treatment, vaccine, or cure. The CDC says the best way to avoid the virus is to avoid mosquito bites. Now, experts say that a U.S. outbreak is unlikely to occur. They believe that most cases will happen to those who travel to Brazil and other affected countries. But this summer, tons of people will descend on Rio de Janeiro for the 2016 Games, which some experts are calling a perfect dissemination vehicle for Zika. If people travel to Brazil, get Zika from a mosquito bite, then return home and get bitten there, the Zika virus could transfer to the local mosquito population, which would mean that there is a potential for localized outbreaks in other parts of the world. Zika is just one of many viruses and diseases that mosquitoes carry. To find out why they're such good carriers of disease, check out this video right here. Most mosquitoes actually fight malaria with their immune responses to parasites.
Now, the definition. Arbovirus is a descriptive term applied to hundreds of approximately RNA viruses that are transmitted by arthropods, notably mosquitoes and ticks. Arbovirus are often maintained in complex cycles involving vertebrates such as mammals or birds and blood-feeding bacteria. Only a few arbovirus have caused clinically significant human diseases, including mosquito-borne halvovirus such as chikungunya and flavivirus such as dengue and West Nile.
The World Health Organization's Director General issuing a dire warning on the Zika virus. So the mosquito-borne virus has links to severe birth defects, and it's showing up in the U.S. The CDC has confirmed 31 cases and is forecasting as many as 4 million people could be affected worldwide. Dr. Kelly Powers is with me now. She is in a private practice in Connecticut. Dr. Kelly, great to see you.
Great to see you, Deirdre. Thanks for having me back.
To what extent do people really need to be concerned right now? Connecticut, New York, we're in winter, but what about summer?
Right. So, public awareness is always a good thing, but public panic is not. So it's important to know the symptoms. This awareness is giving us a little bit more of an idea of what symptoms to look out for. Most importantly, fever, acute onset fever, myalgia, which is muscle pain, arthritis pain as well, joint pain, arthralgia, loss of appetite, dehydration, excessive sweating, These are all things that are similar to fever or common colds, but if you're traveling in those areas,
that's what's tricky because these are all common symptoms for almost anything.
Right.
But the real risk is really for women who are pregnant or planning on becoming pregnant, right? For everybody else, the risk is low that they're actually going to have sustained long-term damage.
correct. If you have traveled to one of these endemic areas, which are subtropical, tropical, South America, Central America, you recollect being bit by a mosquito, or you're showing some of those symptoms, present to your primary care, ER, infectious disease, and yes, it is shown that human-to-human contact is rare. However, we're not really sure yet. Mostly it's mosquito-borne and transmission through the mosquito itself.
Because all 30 U.S. residents who have a confirmed case actually did travel to Brazil, other parts of South America, right?
That's absolutely right. Yes, correct.
Now, the government of El Salvador has urged women to postpone pregnancies for 2 years. Does that strike you as extreme?
You know, and this is so new, and we're all learning as we go. So 2 years might be a good mark. However, there is some talk from the department in the University of Texas that is showing that the incubation period is 12 days, and it's staying in the system for approximately 3 weeks.
Okay.
So again, it's still really new. You know,
So 2 years seems like a precaution, but I understand what you're saying. Early
Correct.
days, and in the spring, my guess is you're going to have a lot of people knocking on the door of your office. Dr. Kelly Powers, thank you so much for joining us there. She is in private practice.
Now, diagnosis. The fact that dengue and chikungunya, which result in similar clinical pictures, have both been epidemic in the Americas confounds clinical diagnosis. A specific tests for dengue and chikungunya are not always available, and commercial tests for Zika have not yet been developed. Moreover, because Zika is closely related to dengue, serology samples may cross-react in tests for either virus. The conclusion. There are no Zika vaccines in advanced development, although a number of existing flavivirus vaccine platforms could presumably be adapted. Zika is still a pandemic in progress, and many important questions about it, such as that of tetragenicity, remain to be answered. Thank you.